Alright guys, and welcome back to another episode, and today we're talking about how to get massive arms. That's right, the question on most guys' minds, and this is why you're here, right? You've seen the thumbnail, you want to know how to get the big arm holes. Careful, I'm in the Reformer Pilates room, and once again I think the music might be quite loud. So I do apologize, hopefully I've edited some way around it. And I want to talk today about some key points. Again, I'm trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter for you so you can get in, get the juice, and get out, especially around the more vloggy ones. So this is sort of a bit more of a how-to video, if you like, so you can just take out the juice and then apply it to your own training. So I'm going to go through some of the main points in no particular order, just picked out the main things that you can use to help you grow your arms and avoid injury and, again, fast forward your results. So let's get into it. The first point I want to make is training with compounds. Okay, so why would we train with compound movements? Right, well, apart from the obvious, when we train with compound movements, we use multiple muscles and multiple joints. We can generally acclimate more volume because if we're using more than one muscle group, they can work together, therefore synergistically, we can actually move more of a load. Now, when you're doing a lot of these big compound movements, so if we're thinking about using our arms, we think about deadlifts, rows, pulls, any sort of pulling movement, anything where we're holding onto a large bar or a lot of weight, we're going to be using this muscle. Now, a lot of people, when they train, they don't consider this or the overlap of fatigue. So for example, if you're doing a lot of deadlifts, if you've been doing a lot of pulling exercises that day, and then you go do 10 exercises on your arms, it's highly unnecessary. You're better to spread that volume out. So if you're incorporating these big compound movements and you're prioritizing them, your arms are going to get a lot of volume vicariously through that, and that's going to help your total arm growth and your work capacity. For example, you will seldom see someone who can deadlift a shit ton of weight 3 times plus body weight with small arms. Think about that. All right, the second point is one that I talk about a lot, and that is using great form. So a lot of the time when people train arms, they are swinging the weight, they're not really taking control of it, and they're really leaving themselves open to, quite honest, injury and wasting a lot of volume and time. So if you're swinging the weights around all the time, it's not really going to be the best. Look, a little bit of body English is okay, but for the most part, we want to be controlling it through the range of movement. You're much better to sacrifice a little bit of weight, increase the form and the actual activation through the muscles themselves, okay? So for example, we see here, as some of the videos, swinging up from the elbows, where really it's a single joint movement, and we should be using moving from mostly the elbow joint. We want very minimal shoulder assistance in there because, again, if we're trying to isolate the biceps at the end, then we should be certainly using good form. That way we can get more out of the exercise. We don't want to go too slow either. We can talk about tempo in another video, but if you're just going super slow all the time, you're not going to acclimate enough or accumulate enough actual volume or mechanical tension on the muscle. Therefore, you're better to make sure that the tempo is controlled, okay, but using enough of a weight without swinging on it with shit volume. Is train the triceps. So triceps, we have 3 heads, biceps, we have 2. If you want to make your arms appear bigger, 3 parts of it is the tricep. If you get a bigger tricep, your arms will look bigger because you're creating a more 3D effect. If you're in proportion, I'm very big on symmetry and aesthetics. As a lot of you know, you should have the bigger shoulders, then going into the tricep, then the bicep, then the forearms. See a lot of guys in the gym really out of proportion. They got these massive biceps, no triceps or no shoulders, or they got big triceps and biceps and no shoulders. It looks stupid. Or the guys who are just doing the old goodies and the androgen receptors in the shoulders are just massive and they're just all shoulders and no arms, and it just looks stupid. So never underestimate the power of actually aesthetics and also symmetry. But again, triceps, we're going to leave that for another video because I want to talk about more just arms. When we think about arms, yes, it's a total arm, but it is more of the bicep. However, the tricep is included in the arm, and if you want to create an illusion that your arm is bigger, especially in a t-shirt, growing that tricep is going to create a much bigger illusion that your arms are much bigger than they are. Another point is training with different rep ranges. So for example, if you are doing the big compound movements, you're going to be in the lower rep ranges, and then obviously when you're isolating, you're generally going to be in the higher rep ranges. So even as it's a muscle which is more fast twitch type dominant, it does have the slow twitch in there, you're generally better to be doing a high repetition when you're going to isolation, and then when you're in the big compound movements, because you're using multiple muscle groups, you want to be using higher loads and lower reps. But you should vary the rep ranges anyway. There's nothing wrong with doing 8 reps on a barbell curl, and then 1 week taking it till failure, going to 15 to 30. So having varying rep ranges is a really good way to keep a smaller muscle group and a single joint action guessing, and also putting a lot of stimulus through it to make sure that you're getting the most out of your training. You don't want to be changing it up too frequently, but you might have a day which is more 8 to 10 rep range, and you might have another day in your programming that is more 12 to 15 rep range. Training with more frequency. So for example, we've talked about this in other videos. We're not going to go too much in depth, but instead of training your arms once a week on a dedicated arm day or through a pull back day, perhaps training them more frequently. For example, having a legs push pull split, upper lower or lower upper off, etc. So you can open that window up and actually train them at least 2 to 3 times a week. Again, for all muscle groups. If hypertrophy and size is the goal, you want to be training your muscle groups more than once a week. Generally, you're going to be able to get a lot more from that based on the current literature, especially if you're a natural athlete. And my last point is train till failure. Yes, there is a time, there is a place. Oh my God, Mr. Connor is saying train till failure. Yes, because when we look at a single joint movement, it is generally a muscle group which can recover a lot faster. It is a more simplistic exercise. It is a lower risk and a higher recovery. If you're going to train till failure, it is generally towards the end of your workout. It's not all the time, and it is on a smaller isolation exercise of which you can control the safety, the fatigue, and you can manage it. Therefore, you'll recover faster. Training a smaller muscle group till absolute failure, because it's so used to just doing everything in everyday life, is a really great idea, and another tool in the old tool belt to actually accentuate growth and be able to get a lot more out of these exercises. So if you are going to train till failure, the arms, definitely want to do it with smaller muscle groups at the end of your workout. It could be at the end of the week. You could do a couple of drop sets, supersets, etc. You might really finish them off. You might do some 21s or something like that. But again, you don't have to go over the top. It doesn't have to be crazy. Keep those smaller groups guessing. Don't be afraid to train until failure with really, really, really good form. One of my favorite things that I like to do at the end of the week when I'm training biceps, they're probably at this point, this will be the 3rd time indirectly that I'm actually training them. And I will generally superset with a tricep exercise. And then on my last set, we'll actually just do a drop set, and I'll do that about 3 to 4 times and just go to a complete failure. Because at this point, I find if I don't take my arms and my smaller muscle groups closer to failure, if not to failure, on a semi-regular basis, they just don't seem to respond as well, because they're just so used to taking a lot of load from all the years of training and the frequency and generally the intensity that I'm enduring on a regular basis. Guys, there it is. So, training arms. How to get massive arms. Again, it's simple. There's no magic in this video. There's no magic at all anyway. It's just doing the right things consistently over time. But hopefully you've been able to take a few different tools out of this video that you can apply to your own training. A couple of things that you might have to go back and go, actually, maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'm not doing this. Maybe I got to clean up my form. It's the little things and they all add up. Anyway, as always, if you like the video, make sure to drop a like. Make sure to comment if you've got anything positive to say, or if you want me to do more of these videos on how-tos on specific muscle groups, or you've got any specific video ideas. I'm always open. Of course, subscribe for weekly videos. Guys, most of you who are watching are not subscribed, so go and do it right now. Click that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get regular notifications. And of course, until next time, until next week, stay fearless.